Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Wow. Just watched Terence Crawford versus Felix Diaz. That fight, if you want to call it a fight, very one-sided. Back with the Boxingego thoughts. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Now, in the words of my favorite fighter, Roy Jones Jr., that's it. I don't want to hear nothing else. When it comes to Bud Crawford, the dude is bad. He's a bad man. And I've been telling y'all what the situation was, and I told you what it was with Terence Crawford. Why do you guys think I went to Omaha twice? Because I know the future when I'm looking at it. You know what I mean? And what he did with Felix Diaz, I know the game. I've been doing this. I've been covering boxing long enough. I know the politics. I know some of the writers. A lot of the writers and people who be at these events with me, they don't know shit about boxing. So you're going to have a lot of people who minimalize what just happened. But I'm not. You know what I mean? That's why hopefully you guys resonate with the message I provide. New media. And the reason I'm not going to minimalize it is because what I seen Terence Crawford do to Felix Diaz was phenomenal. Again, people in this boxing climate, they look at big names like Canelo versus Chavez Jr. Yes, this is two big names, but a guy like Liam Smith gave Canelo a better fight than Chavez Jr. I mean, he didn't win, he got stopped, but he at least was trying. He was throwing punches. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Angulo, all those dudes who have a lesser name than Chavez Jr. gave Canelo a tougher fight. So in this particular fight, it's not just about the names, it's who they are. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people in this social media age, they get things misconstrued and get it confused with the fact of like skill. Skill doesn't necessarily equate to popularity or anything like that. And Terence Crawford just went in there and shut out, dismantled a guy who outweighed him and a guy who has something he doesn't, an Olympic gold medal. That's phenomenal. Canelo just pitched a shutout too versus Chavez Jr. But I think the talk of the town before the fight was, could Chavez Jr. make weight? This was not an issue. They fought at 140. Crawford was outweighed by a few pounds by Felix Diaz. I have a screenshot of the actual weight in case you guys want. I'll try to slap it in this video. So on HBO's unofficial scale, Felix Diaz weighed 161 and Terence Crawford weighed 157. So Felix Diaz, not only has he fought at junior welterweight, he's also fought and won impressively at welterweight, 147, which is 7 pounds higher. And he did that versus Sammy Vasquez on PBC, and he was a last-minute replacement. The initial opponent was supposed to be Luis Collazo, who later fought Vasquez, but he had to pull out from the fight initially because he had an injury in camp, and they called Felix Diaz, and he pulled the upset, and then Collazo later beat Vasquez also. But this is a guy who's fought at 147, he's fought at 140, and he has an Olympic gold medal, and he looked like trash next to Crawford. At first it was kind of somewhat competitive, but Crawford does kind of what Floyd Mayweather does. After he figures you out mid rounds, he starts to piece you up, and he starts to, like, it's like you can't, he's in another lane. Like he's like, it's like trying to catch up to somebody who already has a head start, and it's just, it becomes harder and harder and harder for the opponent to do that. Now it's boxing, you know what I mean? You can have a big punch or whatnot and land something, but it just, like I said, it's hard when guys like Floyd Mayweather and Crawford, when they get in the zone and when they compute all the data they need. Because you looked at it towards the end, I'm gonna go through some of my round by rounds or whatnot, but Crawford was literally toying with Felix Diaz. Listen to me. If you don't listen to other things I say, cool, fine, but listen to this. This man is toying with an Olympic gold medalist, right? There's great fighters today that have medals, but they don't have a gold medal. They didn't earn the gold medal. They didn't win the gold. Shakur Stevenson, congrats to him on his performance. He got a TKO on this. Great fighter, but he got a silver medal. He actually lost. Amir Khan, silver medal. Gennady Golovkin, silver medal, right? And then you look at actual gold medalists, Gamboa, who Crawford already beat, but more relevant people would be like Vasyl Lomachenko and also Guillermo Rigondeaux, Andre Ward, right? Those are gold medalists. And you see who's beat Andre Ward? Nobody. You could say Kovalev, but the judges didn't give it to him, so that is out of the question. You know what I mean? Who's beat Rigondeaux? Nobody. Some people knocked him down and stuff, but no one beat him. And Lomachenko has one loss. However, he'd probably be the favorite to beat Salido in a rematch, you know what I mean? And he looks almost unstoppable at 130, you know what I mean? It's like, damn, who can beat him? These are gold medalists. Felix Diaz he's part of that Olympic heritage, and he just was in the Crawford fight, got totally outclassed like all the rounds. Now, props to Felix Diaz. He showed an immense amount of heart. Most guys probably would have quit, you know, getting touched up with some of those shots and whatnot, and fatigue and frustration would have amounted and become too much where they kind of quit and gave up mentally, at least. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to bash anybody, but like Jason Sosa versus Vasyl Lomachenko, after Lomachenko started picking him off and stuff, Sosa it looked like he was losing. He was flat, like, you know what I mean? He was losing confidence. I seen Felix Diaz was really trying in there, you know what I mean? So I got to give him the warrior points, but being a warrior doesn't always win fights, and Crawford showed you that skills pay the bills. Now let's look at some of my tweets. Felix Diaz looks fatter than normal and outweighs Crawford on HBO's unofficial scale. I told you the weights. And yeah, he didn't look as in shape, but again, this is a guy who's fought at welterweight as well as junior welterweight, and he outweighed Crawford. Crawford and Diaz have a face-off after the bell in round 2. They had a little bit of bravado. See, this is what I look at in boxing, body language, stuff like that. Round 2, Diaz is still fresh. He wasn't getting destroyed and picked off as much, so there was a little bit of showmanship. But as the fight wore on, you didn't really see that same body language and confidence in Diaz. You know what I mean? He knew he was getting bested, right? And that's what I look at. I look at how people's confidence kind of drops off, almost drops off a cliff, depending on who they're fighting. And that's what I seen with Felix Diaz. He was still trying. I give him credit for that, but he looked increasingly discouraged. You know what I mean? Round 3, Crawford was looking surgical, very sharp, getting off first, accuracy, nasty uppercuts, and disgusting 1-2s. Diaz taking small stands. Like, I mean, he was still trying to get some stuff off, but it was really the Crawford show this whole fight. I really don't even have to break it down, but I just want to break it down to the boxing fans, and that's the last fight of the night, so might as well. But very sharp. I think I've seen Crawford a couple of times live, covered his fights, and his last fight I covered, the fight with John Molina Jr. in Omaha. And I noticed in that fight, and I've noticed other fights, beautiful jab, very good jab. So I wasn't surprised that he was pumping off the jab and getting the jab working. But one thing that did kind of surprise me more so than what I know he's always had, which is like the crispy jab, is his uppercuts were nasty against the southpaw. That was a beautiful punch. He fought out of the southpaw, came out of the southpaw position. That made a lot of sense to me. And he was shooting that uppercut against the smaller guy who likes to swarm and likes to it's weird. It's kind of maybe like a more technical Sean Porter. Like he's usually smaller than the people he faces, and he likes to get low and kind of come in. That's what it kind of reminded me of. Maybe a more sound technically Sean Porter, but kind of similar MO to how they use their size and their height deficit to their advantage against lesser people. And that's the thing. That's what you guys see with this tweet. I'm noticing that swarming stuff that Diaz does against Sammy Vasquez ain't working against Crawford, who controls distance or clinches. Crawford is just a phenomenal boxer. He can give it to you how you want it. You know what I'm saying? Like Burger King, have it your way. And I'm not trying to toot his own horn, pause and stuff like that. This is what I see as a fighter. He could switch it up. Versus Victor Postal, he was hurting Postal, but he was using his legs. Then I've seen fights where he just went to war, like Gamboa. That was a gutsy type of risky fight. Gamboa was hurting him early, or hurting him in the fight, and he just fought fire with fire and won the gun show, or the shootout, or whatever you want to call it. But I noticed that the Diaz, what he would do with lesser people like Sammy Vasquez, even Lamont Peterson in spots, right? And I'm not saying lesser. I really like Lamont Peterson. He's a good fighter, but the ring IQ is with Crawford is just otherworldly to me. You know what I mean? And the thing, especially in the Vasquez fight, Sammy Vasquez, the things that he was able to do with a less polished guy. And Vasquez is no slouch. He was a guy, he had an amateur pedigree, served in the military, so, you know what I mean, he has heart and stuff like that. But he couldn't get away with that because Crawford would control the distance, which is boxing 101. You know what I mean? You're the taller guy. You're the guy probably with the longer arms, right? There's no reason that you shouldn't be dictating with the jab, controlling the distance. And what I like about him and Floyd, I don't even think he fights like Floyd, right? I think he's his own animal, you know what I mean? But there are certain similarities, like the ability to tabulate and calculate what you do in the first couple of rounds and then end up polishing you up and tagging you up as the fight progresses. I do see similarities like that, not really in the way that they style. Like I never really see Floyd switch and fight whole fight southpaw and get better. You know what I'm saying? I don't really see that. So I don't think they fight alike, but there are little similarities, like little just things like mentally how they'll break you down, break your wheel down and stuff like that. And Crawford, he's a beast. He controls distance well like Floyd. I will say that. And you watch the Pacquiao fight with Floyd. That's why Pacquiao cannot beat Floyd, because he cannot close the distance on Floyd. Him being the shorter person, he doesn't know how to effectively get in. He's not jabbing his way in like Diaz, you know what I mean? And even though Pacquiao has this rhythmic, unorthodox or whatever speed, foot speed and hand speed, he's always launching his attack. There was literally spots in the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight where Pacquiao was like launching his attack from like 4 feet out, and he's a short guy. Floyd's too fast for that. Both ring IQ fast, and also his reflexes, and also his foot speed, right? Same thing that I see with Crawford. The stuff that was working with Sammy Vasquez, it's not going to work with Crawford. He's just too fast. Reflex, hand speed, good foot speed, upper body movement, defense. You know what I mean? He's just all around a complete fighter. You know what I mean? And it's hard. It's going to be hard to beat. I want to talk about Crawford Pacquiao, but I'll get through this fight first, and I'll say some closing thoughts with that. Then I said Crawford is shooting that uppercut and it's landing. Diaz needs to find an answer for that ASAP, which he didn't. Beautiful jab and uppercuts by Bud. And this was kind of the story of the fight. It was Crawford doing what he did to Victor Postal, doing what he did to John Molina. You know what I mean? John Molina's probably at home laughing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to my dude Molina. But he's probably out at home laughing. Like, see, it ain't easy. This dude is just good. You know what I'm saying? Don't be looking at me because I got stopped. This is a gold medalist getting stopped too. You know what I mean? It's Crawford. Crawford is Crawford. And I said, so far as the Crawford show, he's doing what he wants when he wants. Diaz still trying, but is likely getting frustrated at this point. Like I said, he was just getting picked off. And nobody likes to get picked off. You know you're losing the rounds. In between the rounds, Diaz's corner was saying, what are you doing? You're getting hit too much. You're losing. That's not the way to win the fight. You can always tell, like, if for whatever zany reason somebody had this fight close or whatnot, you can always tell and look for the corner advice and how the corner's speaking to their fighter to kind of leverage what's really happening. And Diaz's corner was rightfully worried. Like, what are you doing? You're getting hit too much. You're losing rounds. Diaz probably frustrated with his inability to tag Crawford as easily as other opponents like Sammy Vasquez or Peterson. Bud's elusive, and he rolls out. Again, controlling distance, mastering that. And people like Mayweather, people like Crawford, one thing that makes them a complete fighter and hard to deal with and special to me is because, like I said, they give you too many looks, and it's however you want it. You know what I'm saying? You want to fight in the center ring, you're getting your ass beat. You want to fight against the ropes, I could do that. You want to have a jab contest, we can do that. You wanted to make this a dog fight inside, then Crawford was landing some nasty body shots and showing bravado. It's just, you know what I mean? Those are the types of things that really break down a fighter. I think Crawford took Felix Diaz's soul with this fight, right? And I would never wish bad on nobody, but I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised after this fight if Felix Diaz fought another elite level, or you know what I mean, like a big name or whatnot, and did not look as good as he did versus Sammy Vasquez or Peterson. These are rough fights because you start getting broken down, and they leave you with psychological doubts. That's what Floyd does. That's what Crawford does. They leave you with psychological, like, okay, I just thought about this. This is a freestyle video. You know what I mean? This ain't no script. This is Boxingego. You guys know how I do, right? Where the fuck has Victor Postal been? I covered that fight. You know how many fights I've covered since then? Where has Postal been? Okay, you lost to Crawford. You lost your belt. And he's MIA. He's still a good fighter. That doesn't mean because Crawford won, everybody can do that to him. You know what I mean? And we have not seen this man back. He was on a tear beating guys like Selçuk Aydin. He was beating guys like Lucas Matisse, made him quit. The only person in boxing professional history that made Lucas Matisse quit or TKO'd him or whatever. And that's out of Danny Garcia, Zab Judah, Devin Alexander, John Molina. You know what I mean? Top quality names, Lamont Peterson. And now all of a sudden, Crawford beats him, and he's nowhere to be found in the division. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know when the last time you've seen him fight. I haven't seen Victor Postal. So that's what I'm saying. These enduring, brutal knockouts, like, is one thing, but getting systematically and surgically beat down and you can't do nothing with it, that does something psycho. There are two different types of like, you know what I'm saying, punishment or losses. Like, okay, you got knocked out with one punch. I've seen fighters who are winning fights and they just got struck with the right punch and they got knocked out. But these can be damaging to a fighter's career because you were in there with all these rounds and you didn't get knocked out, but you were getting hurt and you just endured it, and then what? You know what I mean? And then you end up still getting stopped. So you took a systematic beating and an ass whooping, and then you finally, your corner tells you to, you know what I mean, it's enough. So we'll see. I'm just telling you my honest opinion. Round 6 so far, Crawford toying with Diaz. Again, an Olympic gold medalist. Crawford showing bravado. He baited Diaz to come in as soon as he got more aggressive, meaning Diaz, but rocked his head back. It might have been like a straight right or something, and Diaz's head went all the way back like a Pez dispenser. Like I told you guys, these are round by round in the round, so I don't wait till after the fight and start typing a bunch. I'm telling you what I see as. So make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at Boxingego. Crawford is a dog. Seems to up the competition when anyone gets off a good shot. He takes it as a challenge. Crawford picking off game Diaz. That's what I like about Crawford, man. He looks at that as an insult. Like, oh, you got a good shot off on me. Okay. And he makes sure. I remember, some of you guys won't remember this. I was there. I was like first row when I covered the Crawford Molina fight in Omaha. And people don't remember this because of what happened the rest of the fight. John Molina, a power puncher, I think Crawford was on the ropes. He clocked Crawford with a very good shot. Crawford ate it, and Crawford made sure Molina never got nothing off like that ever again, as long as the fight lasted. That's what makes guys like Floyd and Crawford special in that regard too, is if you catch him with something, then you're lucky. Andre Ward did that kind of with Kovalev when he got knocked down. He never got caught with that same level of shot. Same thing, Floyd versus Mosley. And that's what elite fighters can do. They can find a way, like, okay, that didn't feel good, that didn't taste good. Where do we go from here? And that's what kind of Crawford does. You know what I mean? Because I think round 7, I think Diaz clocked Crawford with a very good shot. And then the very next round, he's hurting Diaz again. Terence Crawford hurt Diaz with a left uppercut in round 8. Crawford, he's a problem, man. Round 9, Crawford is piling up the ass whooping on Diaz, LOL. Diaz seems to be slowing down, going back to the corner, looking to land one big shot. Not to toot my own horn, but you guys got to give me my props. These are round by round tweetings. And like, obviously this particular fight it wasn't hard to see where it was going, but like I see these things coming a lot of times, like when I'm watching a fight. And it's funny because sometimes you listen to HBO commentary and they're not really there. If you listen to their comment, like listen to what Letterman's saying and Lampley, and then you'll think the fight's going one way, and then all of a sudden you'll see that person get knocked out. But let them tell it, the other guy had no shot to knock out the person or win the championship rounds. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely try to call it fair. Crawford, very smart, sweeping left hand, while Diaz is against the ropes, but being patient so he doesn't get caught with the desperation shot. Very important. Crawford had this real sweeping left. Floyd does it all the time. And Diaz was looking like he was trying to land a home run shot. Like he was like tight guard up top, back against the ropes, you know what I mean? Maybe like a Kaladi type of defense. And he was looking to kind of try to explode and catch Crawford with something. Crawford not being a dummy and understanding that he's not anywhere in the fight. He didn't give him that opportunity. So he just was like pawing at him and had him against the rope, landing some sweeping left shots. Then he would like jab, back off. You know what I mean? So he didn't get foolish in there, because that's literally the only reason or way Diaz would win. Crawford just embarrassing Diaz now. He knocked on his head with his gloves. Like it looked like he was knocking on a door. He was like tap, tap, tap. And he started talking to someone and looked away from Diaz. So he was having fun in there, playing around, and then he smiled at someone. I don't know who's, maybe it was Diaz's corner or something. I said LOL. Dude's bad. And I said, laughing my ass off. Crawford started launching some uppercuts from hell, LOL. And then Diaz corner stopped the fight. Too much punishment. Fighter was getting destroyed. Terence Crawford pitched a shutout. Easy work. Wow. The reason that's wow to me, again, that's an Olympic gold medalist. So you guys see the comment. Terence Crawford is special. I told y'all. No more questions. The kid is a beast. That was an Olympic gold medalist made to look like shit. You know what I mean? And Lou DiBella, who represents Felix Diaz, he said Crawford's not invincible. You know what I mean? But shit, he was looking pretty invincible this night. You know what I mean? And he seems to have improved from the Gamboa fight. You know what I mean? Not that he was bad then, but improved in the sense of his risks are more calculated and more straight to the point, and they give him the best shot of success with minimizing the risk. Like, you know what I mean? There's not really the way he's fighting. Like the way he fought Gamboa was super risky. Gamboa had been hurting him in spots and was winning like the first 4 or 5 rounds. You know what I'm saying? So it's super risky. It was like a shootout. And luckily, Gamboa's chin's not necessarily the best, and he dropped him 4 times and stuff like that. Look at Diaz's family, look pissed. Oh, shout out to Joe Diaz for he's saying he's done. Look at Crawford dancing. Crawford's a beast, I'm trying to tell y'all. At the end of round 11. I mean, it's everything you want. It was just a systematic ass whooping. Crawford, man. Now, see, this was the showdown in between the fight. I like that moment. That was a good moment. But it was a better moment for Crawford because he ended up winning the fight. So all that bravado doesn't really matter if you lose. Now, let me talk about Crawford, Pacquiao. And I'm not going to spend too much time because it looks like Pacquiao's team is afraid of Crawford. And after this performance, an Olympic gold medalist getting destroyed, Pacquiao aging, I don't really know how. And see, I speak my mind. I speak how I feel. But I don't know if Team Crawford would, or not, excuse me, if Team Pacquiao would want problems with Crawford now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's an easy fight, but I'm definitely picking Crawford. Definitely. Like Rainman said, yes, definitely. I'm definitely picking Crawford over Pacquiao at this point. You know what I'm saying? Just, he's going to fight smart, control the distance. Pacquiao don't have no jab. Crawford has a great jab. Crawford looks to me like he's taller, looks to me like he has longer arms, great foot speed. Pacquiao, he'll be running Pacquiao in the shots all night. And now that I've seen this uppercut, and we know Crawford's competitive and a dog, and he can switch southpaw. See, and that's the other important thing. That southpaw stuff that Pacquiao does is it's better on orthodox fighters. You know what I mean? That's how he clipped Floyd and stuff like that. But you're not going to be able to do. See, look at that. He's going to run Pacquiao into something.
Because he's so tall.
And that, like I said, that straight left, that's Pacquiao's best punch. Crawford could take that away by fighting out of southpaw. It would be stupid to come out as an orthodox fighter, and I don't believe Crawford is stupid, so I think he would come out as a southpaw against the southpaw, like he did with Felix Diaz. He's the bigger man. He rehydrates to 157. Pacquiao would probably rehydrate 153, 152, something like that. And most advantages, youth. He definitely has power to get anybody's respect. You know what I mean? The thing that would make him more competitive if it happens at 147 as opposed to 140. If it happens to 140 or like 143, I think Crawford would destroy Pacquiao. Destroy him. If it happens at 140, 143, the higher it goes in weight, that benefits Pacquiao more. Even though he's not the bigger man, he has more experience fighting at the higher weights. And that's just my honest opinion. But if you guys don't believe me, shout out to Tracy Morgan for being a fight fan. You guys don't believe me, then you should push for Pacquiao to fight Crawford, right? Go to his page and put $1 million like you did with Canelo versus Triple G. Do that to Pacquiao. Say, oh, fight Crawford, stop ducking. Just like you guys were putting GGG all through Canelo's thing and chickens and stuff. Do that to Pacquiao if you don't believe me. Again, I'm not saying Pacquiao is a threat. He's a legend. I'm not saying it's an easy fight for anybody, right? I don't think it was an easy fight for Floyd, and we know Floyd's the best of this generation. But all signs to me point to Crawford beating Pacquiao, especially after I keep seeing this. He knows when to take the risk. He knows how to keep his distance. He's having fun. That's another important thing, confidence-wise. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Oh, shout out to Ray Beltran, nasty knockout. I told you guys I was at Crawford versus John Molina Jr. in Omaha. Ray Beltran, I met him. He was there. He was on the undercard, and he knocked out a prospect brutally. And then he knocked out Jonathan Maciello viciously in the second round, I believe. So shout out to Beltran. And see, this is another thing. Beltran is a guy who Crawford, I was at that fight. I covered that fight as media. And that's a guy Crawford pretty much beat pretty easily. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now his confidence is even greater. It's just, he's going to be a hard problem. I see his real challenges coming at 47. You know what I mean? And that's just because guys are bigger than that 140. Julius Ndongo, let's see. He's proven people wrong versus Ricky Burns and against Troy Yanofsky. But my money would be with Crawford just because he gives you so many looks. So my thoughts. Terence Crawford, you the man. Shout out to Omaha. Y'all really got one. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.